What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. We're back here again with another live. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. I'm here again with my guy, Will. But
What's
today,
up, everybody?
doing something different. Got a different live today. My man, Preston Hale, founder of Jump Ball Training, is joining us today to talk about the advancement of athletic training, and we're going to dive into just the world of training. I thought this was a great time to talk about this because we're seeing a lot of talk right now with the NFL Combine, and just a lot going on within the world of sports. There's so much going on, year round. But I just want to thank you, Mr. Hale, for joining the channel today to chop it up. We're gonna have a few more people joining in throughout the live, but thank you again for joining. And could you just give a little bit of background on yourself and talk about what you do?
I'm a man of many hats. I'm a strength and conditioning specialist. I do combine work. I started off at combine work at Fisher Institute, and then I went off to get my CSCS, which is your certification as specialist in strength and conditioning. Been doing that for a little bit. Then I started focusing on like speed and agility. Started adding that. I've always been a defensive back coach. Been blessed to be around some good dudes who have some knowledge. I ended up getting a linebacker who he was with the Raiders at the time, and he wanted some training because linebacker coaches back then didn't really know how to do that, and he wanted some coverage training, and all I knew was defensive back, and he kind of taught me the ins and outs of linebacking. So he allowed my linebacker game to open up because he taught me everything that he needed, and so that's kind of how I've grown my knowledge of linebacker as well as the 8 years we've been together. I owned a gym, and then I left and joined AMDG, which I am a strength and conditioning specialist and as well as a speed and agility coach. And I am an inventor as well. I invented Jump Ball, the functional jump height contraption that is taking the sporting world by storm, slowly but surely. But we've been blessed to be on a lot of different platforms and having people support us. So just been doing that, and just being more than a trainer, just focusing more on just being man of many hats. So that's a little background about myself.
Yes, I keep seeing so many videos of the jump ball training. Like it's just amazing how it's like taking off. I see like so many videos going viral, so many videos of people liking and sharing. Um, it's very interesting to me because you know me and William, we're broadcast journalism majors. Mainly with the sports concentration, but like the world of sports training has always interested me, and I've always wanted to learn more about that. We're gonna have some more guys join in, ask some more questions. But like,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly inspired you to get into the this field, this career field? What inspired you to do that?
Oh man, so I played at Alabama State. I was a corner for them, and then I got hurt my senior year. So I wanted to help people get to the next level. I wanted to help them go to Division 1 and all that stuff. So that was what really inspired me. Just taking people's careers further than I could. I was an underdog. I played junior college, and I went from junior college to being able to start my whole career, and then I got injured my senior year, and then going from there, I couldn't really practice my pro day training because of the fact that my shoulder was in pretty bad shape. So I just went straight into training people. That's where I got an internship at Fisher Institute, which was Fisher Sports at the time. He was the PT for the Cardinals, and just got to learn from some high level guys. And so I trained under a guy named Will Sullivan, who was Darrelle Revis's trainer. And I was literally in the sessions with Darrelle Revis, helping train him, helping doing all that stuff. So I got to see from the beginning of my career at a very high level what it looked like. So like one of my first guys that were in a group, like I was an intern at Fisher, and then Brian Dawkins, he came in my group, and I was in charge of his core work, and that's the first time I've ever been starstruck in my life. I have this guy that I played Madden with, he's a legend, and then he's coming in there doing work, workouts and all that stuff. And I was just a grunt, and I was all that stuff, and just falling in love with the artwork. I feel like all athletes they're all like a canvas. And I feel like what you do as a trainer is your job to go ahead and create an environment which allows them to be the best they can be. It's not about just sitting there making them like you, but it's taking their talent and allowing them to be the best version of themselves. You know, I may have a corner that's, 5'8", that's quick, I'm not going to sit there and have and train him the same way I would like a 6'2" corner that's long. I want them each to go ahead and have the individual skills that they have and, be able to, grow those. So that's really what it's about, man. And that's what kept me falling in love with the industry, because in the sports performance world, everybody's a trainer. It doesn't require anything. Nobody asks you your credentials. It's kind of like hip hop, or it's kind of like the rap industry. Anybody can be a trainer. Anybody can go ahead and grab a phone and take some drills or get some drills off Instagram or YouTube. But what really makes you fall in love with is the science of that. I'm obsessed with the human body, learning it. I'm obsessed with like learning how humans move and all that stuff. And that's really what kept me in love with it. People have a secondary career and they'll be a trainer, do this. No, I'm full time. This is how I eat. This is how I've been eating for the past. I have not had a second job besides coaching football. This is how I've been eating, and this is like I'm all in. I don't train general population. I train all athletes, and it's been a rewarding thing. It hasn't been easy, but that's what keeps me in it is just falling in love with it over and over and over again.
Love that. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
All in. All in. You got any input, Will? How you feeling?
Yeah. So, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you talked about, your background going to Alabama State, like training, but to me, who who inspires you to do what you do? Like who
That's a
keeps you going forward?
that's a great question. Who inspires me? Wow, that's a great question. I say that um, my athletes, when they go ahead and get a scholarship, when they get an offer, when they get a Division I offer and they're nobody, when you have guys winning the Super Bowl, when you have guys uh, being All American, that's the stuff that inspires me. When guys go ahead and come from nothing and they actually have something, that's what inspires me. So it's not necessarily somebody that I look up to that I want to be like, but it's more like my athletes who work their tail off and they go ahead and have success. That's what inspires me to keep going. So my athletes are what inspire me.
And I do feel that because like when you see them succeed, you like, okay, just for you to just be a part of their success story is just like an inspiration to you to want to keep doing this for other people and have them continue to be great. So
Yeah. So one of the things that like it's surreal to you is last year I was working with a lineman. I was doing his. It was the first time I ever did lineman training because I usually do linebackers at DB. But I was working with a lineman named Jacob Monk. He's from Duke, and he was getting ready for the combine, right? 2024
mhm.
combine. And I'm sitting there working on his 40 training, and like we sat there and we had a system that we did. He gets in his 40 stance, he sits there, he takes a deep breath, and he did everything. Like we have a system, and just sitting there watching the combine and him going over that exact same system, like, dang, I remember we worked on that. Like, it's crazy to see that. Like,
Yeah,
it's like your artwork, and it's on a national stage, and nobody will ever know it's me because it's not for them to know it's me. He's supposed to be the star. I'm supposed to be the dude in the background. But just to be able to see that, like, man, this dude is really doing like what we taught, like what we worked on. And he went out there and he ran the fastest time for any lineman for 10, ran a
that's
166.
good.
Went out there and I
Wow.
think he either tied or broke the record just based off what we did. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to sit there and see that. You know what I'm saying? So and no, and it's like that stuff is like nobody even cares about that stuff or like a 10 lineman 10, but it's like just seeing that on the national stage is like really inspiring.
That's got to be a great feeling seeing somebody you put so much, effort and time into working together, seeing them go out there and execute what you've been working on. That has to be a great feeling. It just shows that the time that you put in, the development of the player is paying off. It's showing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's the
No,
buy
you.
and LaCharles Bentley, who is I could say this, another guy who inspires me is LaCharles Bentley. He's the owner of AMDG. He's like a Super Bowl, like not Super Bowl. He's I guess you can say he's like an NFL legend. He's one of the best centers of all time. Um, he has so many inventions. He's always a dude that's always like going out there and doing different types of stuff. Like when I go into the gym, like you just see all his inventions in there and his linemen are using it. But just seeing how he works with the athletes and do all that stuff, he's definitely been an inspiration to me as well. And he definitely played a huge part in Jacob Monk's success too, because he had him at the right weight. He had him he was building his engine. So it's not just my speed training, but it takes a team. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't sit there and take credit for that, but just seeing them run that 40 like that and just the stuff that we worked on, it's just like, man, that's crazy.
I can really tell you love the game of football.
Yeah.
I can tell that because a lot of people say they love football, but it's like, I can tell you love it because you're putting a lot into developing these young men and developing these people. And I just wanted to ask you, can you speak a little bit about how your faith in Christ has positively affected your mentorship of young men and women in athletics?
I feel like that's my mission. That's the main thing. So everybody I talk to, that's what we're going to talk about. Um, that's the foundation of my life. I know people say that, but that's the real foundation of my life. Every single day, I'm going to go ahead and have side conversations with people and try to plant seeds. Because if I stop doing that, then I feel like the Almighty is going to go ahead and take away my ministry, which is the gym. So here's how I deeply feel about it. I feel like it's not that I love football; it's the fact that I love the athletes who play football. Because football in itself is a man-made game. I love the athletes who play football because without the athletes, football is nothing, right? And it's like I'm preparing this, I guess you could say, this gladiator to go into a Roman Coliseum, right? And if they don't have some sort of faith in something or some sort of foundation, they're going to go ahead and have a hard time doing that. So just preparing them spiritually is a huge thing for me. And I feel like anybody who doesn't have that foundation has been with me, it's just a lost opportunity because either I witness it to them or one of their teammates does, or the enemy gonna witness to them. But I feel like anybody that the Almighty bring to me, I want to make sure that they get that word. That's a staple.
Love that. Love that. Will, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm gonna pass the mic to you.
Yeah, so I have another question for you. So you say
Hmm.
you work with DBs, linebackers, offensive lines. Have you ever tried to at least like had the mind of probably trying to dabble into probably the wide receiver, running backs, or anything else?
Yeah, I've worked with wide receivers before. I have a lot of wide receivers. One of my guys who's in the league right now, Ashton Doolin, I train him from a defensive back standpoint. So meaning like this is what works on DBs. This is what we're going to do in this situation. This is how you counter it. And everything that I do, because I never played it down in the league, and I'm not claiming to be the best coach or do anything like that. I learn from my athletes. Everything that we do, we co-create. Meaning like my guy Ashton, he's going to show me some things that he knows, and what I'm going to do, having the creative mind, I'm going to put it into a drill, and we're going to go ahead and get him better at what he needs to work on. But one thing that I feel like receivers don't have is a yard after catch coach. Meaning, like when they catch the ball, anybody can run a route and catch the ball. Can you catch the ball and keep running with it? That's the real thing. Anybody can sit there and work on routes and get open, but when you catch the ball, what do? A lot of receivers don't work on that stuff. So that's one thing that we emphasize is like you catch the ball. How do you get around the first level, which is linebackers, or I guess you just the second level? How do you go ahead and get around safeties? That's another thing. So if you have two people pursuing you and you're running this way, what do? People aren't in those situations, and I feel like in my training, and you guys can see it on my Instagram, we work on those things. How to go ahead and get around a guy and then get around another guy. How to have a vision of the whole field without sitting there staring at a guy. I always tell receivers, if you sit there, if you have the ball in your hand and you staring down at one guy, you're going to get tackled because you don't see the whole field. You should be able to see everything out of and see the guy that's pursuing you at your peripheral. So just working all those things is just like it's key. I'm not one that knows how to go ahead and teach a guy how to run routes, but I do know how to teach him how to go ahead and get open against a DB.
I do like that because from my mind's perspective, like if you're a cornerback coach working with a wide receiver, you could kind of like have them think what a cornerback would think probably sometimes. So I do like that aspect of just like, okay, so this is what most cornerbacks going to think, at this moment. So try to do the opposite of this. So I do, I get what you're saying.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So this is a little separate from what we've been harping on so far, talking a bit so far, but like I gotta ask because I was thinking about this question earlier. I was talking with one of my guys.
Hmm.
He was talking to me about the NFL Combine. He was watching a lot of players, run their 40s and all that stuff, and do participate in the combine. I know they have a few more days and stuff, but I gotta ask, as an athletic trainer, how much would you say the NFL combine translates to football? Like, how much would you say it translates?
You trying
Just
to
give
get
me
me in trouble,
some
man. Trying to get me in trouble, man. Zero.
perspective.
Nothing. That's why I created jump ball. There's not one thing in the NFL combine that directly translates to football. Think about it like this: the 40, you never run straight in a line at any position. Receivers don't have both hands at any time. So when a receiver runs a route, okay, you're thinking he has to go ahead and run around something because there's a corner. No receiver just runs straight. And even if he does run straight, when the ball's in the air, what does he do? He turns. When he catches the ball, he now loses access to the other hand. So he only can run with one hand. So it doesn't showcase how a receiver can go ahead and have all these other factors. Another thing is you never start from a 3-point stance and fire out. Corners should never run straight ever because that means that they're beat. You have somebody in front of you. They're not supposed to get behind you. So showcasing how fast they can run shows nothing if they can cover. It doesn't. It shows their capacity to run straight line. But in football, if you guys sit there and watch any NFL game, nobody's running in a straight line over 10 yards. Like running backs, same thing. Running backs are run like this. They're run curvilinear. Linebackers, they never run straight. They always run downfield or they're bailing out. They're not running straight. It's at a disadvantage if a linebacker runs straight because he's going to run into linemen. What does he have to do when he runs at the line of scrimmage? He has to get around linemen. So nobody can sit there and tell me when anybody runs straight for more than 10 to 20 yards or even 40. Even in kickoff, you have to get around somebody. So I would say that doesn't showcase anything. The jump, the vertical, somebody's going up and touching pegs. They're not showcasing can they catch a ball. They're not showcasing can they run and jump. They're not showcasing can they run and jump and turn in a transversal angle, which all DBs will go ahead and catch the ball. Nobody jumps up from a square stance ever. Maybe a linebacker in the middle of the field for a ball that's going over his head, but nobody jumps up with one hand like that. It just doesn't happen. 5-10-5. Why are we touching the ground? That doesn't showcase how well you can problem solve or get around somebody and pursue somebody. So I would go out on the limb and say there's not one drill in the NFL combine that actually translates. Not one. But I will say that it's a standardized test and people do it because it shows you something. I feel like your film showcases if you're a good football player or not.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of people who are out there that run a 4.7. That doesn't mean that they're slow. That just means they can't run in a straight line very fast. But that doesn't mean you can't cover anybody. That doesn't mean that you can't go ahead and play the ball in the air. That just showcases can you go ahead and have track speed, which is not even really something that translates. So I would go out on a limb and say there's not one thing that translates in the NFL combine.
Okay, so that's good. So I was
You
about
get
to,
spicy. You getting spicy. I'm gonna have to clip that. That was
Yeah.
heat. That was heat. I love
that
that
was
perspective.
good. That was good though.
Go ahead.
But when you say that, okay, this isn't like it don't translates to it, the NFL is. So going to like a general manager's mind or something, the NFL, what are they looking at per se at the Sky and Combine that would be like, okay, this could help out my team in these areas, probably.
When a general manager or anybody's going to the combine, they're not looking at reasons to sign you. They're looking at reasons to not sign you. Does
Mm.
he check this box? Okay. Does he check this box? Okay. Does he check this box? Next person. Next person. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at reasons not to sign people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you think that they have their combine, then they have a pro day. They have two. And so they're looking for reasons. Any reason that you give them not to sign you, they're looking for reasons to not give you that million. Go ahead and
And
mess up because it's a dime a dozen out there. How many corners are out there? What, there's like 15, 20? They're looking at a
it's a
reason
lot.
not to sign a guy. And so it's just one of those things like they're just seeing if you can check the boxes. Can you talk? Because a lot of people don't even see at the combine. They're meeting with these coaches individually and they're having conversations with them. They're seeing if this guy can actually talk. Can he carry a conversation? Does he know his X's and O's? Can he go ahead and function while you're not getting any sleep? Because these guys, they don't get any sleep at these combines. I don't know if you guys know that. They're getting zero sleep. They got to wake up in the morning. They got to have meetings all the way until night. They got to do all this like this PR stuff. They have to go ahead and do all the combine stuff. It's a lot. And they're just seeing if these guys can handle that pressure.
And you said at one point about like having conversations, cause I know that is like a big part of the pro day, like the interviews and stuff. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
about the pro day, what you could do on the field, but GMs and stuff, they looking at like all circle like around like how are you off the field, how are you like, probably like interacting with teammates or something, are you like gonna be a problem to the locker room? So definitely like, the interviews are a big part of the pro days and combine.
Yeah, you have the tangibles, which is your 40, your 10-yard dash. I mean, your 40, your 5-10-5. Then you have the intangibles, which you can't see right away, which is personality. Is he good in the locker room? Is he a good fit in your system? Is he a smart kid? Is he able to go ahead and speak and formulate complete sentences? Is he good? If I can go ahead and put him in an interview, he'll be able to represent wherever I'm from or whatever team he's with, because these athletes represent teams. You know what I'm saying? They don't just represent themselves anymore. So will he be able to represent the team? So they got to go ahead and check those boxes, which I get. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the NFL combat is not going anywhere. It doesn't translate, but neither does half of the stuff in the weight room anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that don't translate. People just do it because it checks off boxes.
That with that being said, what would you add and take away? Like, if you could have any say in the NFL Combine, like what would be some things you would add that would better that would be a better measuring
Representation,
of a
like
player?
yeah,
Yeah, what
Jump
would
ball,
you?
jump ball.
jump
Yes,
ball.
Here's
sir.
why. So here's why. When you go up and touch it, no shame and no hate to the Vertec. That's the granddaddy. They've been doing it for a long time. I feel like it's Vertec always can have value. I mean, how high you can get off the ground, it has value. But at the end of the day, why would I go ahead and knock a kid whose arms are long and give him less on his vertical or less on his reach just because he has long arms and what's it called? Now it has to be set even higher for him to get that. All I care about is, can he go ahead and get this ball at this fixed height, no matter what you are, no matter how tall you are? Can you get it? Because I would actually I would say, oh, you got long arms, you can go ahead and reach this. I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you as a positive thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and I want to see if people can run in from 5 yards and jump. I want to see if people can rotate and jump. I want to see if people can be athletes. So I would add jump ball because it creates an actual tangible field. It's crazy that no tests in football have an actual football.
It really is crazy.
Think about it. Even in the testing that they do, like with the W drill, you're reacting off of a coach. A coach is telling you to do the W drill. How does that even tell you if you can cover or not?
It really don't.
Because don't coaches tell you to stop looking at the person with the ball? Isn't that like a
Hmm.
sin in the defensive back world? Don't sit there and stare down the guy, but they're telling you to stare down the guy with the ball to do drills. It's counterproductive. I would go ahead and look, can this guy actually go ahead and play football? Look at his film. That's what matters. Film matters. What can this dude play football or not? We put too much weight in things that don't translate. Can he flip his hips on me in a straight line? It's like that doesn't even make sense. Nobody's gonna flip their hips and catch the ball from the opposite side.
I
Like,
do get that.
yeah, they're just doing things because it's just tradition.
And I think that whole point you just made with the whole tradition thing with the NFL, I think that that's kind of what you're doing that's positive with jump ball is like expanding the sport, expanding athletics in general. Like the whole point, you want to like grow something, you want to expand it so it can evolve. And maybe the point you're making, maybe it's time that the NFL, you know, finally advances or evolves from the NFL combine to add to some things, take away some things, because naturally progression, evolution is what the goal is.
Right. Exactly. That's all it is. And the combine is going to be the combine. It's going to do what it does. Uh, it's helped people make money. It's hurt people. It's always going to be a revenue. It's not going to change, but we can always add and we can always enhance, because I know that people are always going to want to find out more data. So I feel like the combine will grow. I know I sit there and say nothing translates, and I'm very hard on that stuff because I just don't like linear thinking. Like, just because he can run in a straight line fast, that means he could play football. That doesn't mean that you know. And I want to get out of this linear thinking of just because somebody runs a fast 5-10-5 that they can play football, because the combine stuff is not football. It's just general athletic drills that you do to see if somebody can go ahead and beat a certain time. That's all it is.
You speaking fact, because look, one of my guys, he was one of the fastest track runners of our high school. He could not play football though. He could not
Exactly.
play football. It's
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, a guy runs a 4-2. Can he control that 4-2? Can he run it like this? Can he come out of a 4-2 in a break? Can he run a 4.2 while looking at the ball? Can he have a ball in his hand and run a 4.2? There's a lot of intangibles that we don't know, or a lot of things that we don't know yet, things that need to be tangible. And so I feel like we can't judge a kid in his draft stock just based off of that. Like all the people everybody hates pro day and all that stuff because of the fact that it's just like, hey, you had a great season, you were All-American, but you get knocked because you didn't run a 4.4.
Yeah, 'cause I've definitely seen those a lot from like everywhere. For like every single year, it's that one person that had like probably had 4,000 yards passing, was almost won Heisman or something, but just because they missed some accurate throws or something, like at the draft combine or the pro day, it like dropped their stock all the way down or something. Like it happened a bunch of times.
Yeah, I had a kid that from Air Force. I believe he was all conference, and like he did great in all his drills, great in everything, and he had food poisoning the night before, and he ended up going out there and running a 4.5. He's supposed to run a 4.4, and they brought him on a couple of teams, but he didn't get drafted because of that.
Wow.
Just because of that, and so he got brought on in teams, and then they just didn't pick him because of the fact that he was at Air Force, number one, and the fact that he ran a 4.5. It's like that label is on you forever. 4.5. It's just like 4.5 is not slow. 4.5 is not
It's
slow.
not.
The kid was all conference. Can we not look at his film? So that stuff that
Yeah.
stuff kills me. One race, and he will never run straight as a DB or as a safety. So
And
that's
it's crazy to me that they only just measure off that one thing. Like if you just run a 4.5 at the draft at the combine, just because that 4.5, you're like from being probably a second, third rounder to now being undrafted
yeah.
and like having to walk on teams and stuff. Like just because that one metric at the combine, it's like, because to me the NFL, they only working on what they already know. They already know, like, they're not trying to ever, to like grow the game and to try to implement input like more things that's going to actually look at have general managers and stuff be like, okay, this is exactly what we need on our team, and let's try to go out and get it. They just like, we know, the 4 yard dash and like the jump ball, the vertical leap, and those good metrics. But to me, you have to put some type of like more effort if you're going to have if the game is growing. Because the game, I don't know how long they've been doing the combine for, but the combine, it's not what it was. I mean, well, like the NFL is not what it was. So they need to just grow the game out, like grow the combine out, and basically like put more stuff that's going to actually like help teams, you know, see what they
Identify.
got, yeah, identify from what they could get and stuff.
Yeah, just look at a guy like you guys remember Vontez Burfict.
I do.
Hmm.
He didn't run a good time at all, and he was out there going crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he didn't even look like he ran the time. I think it was like maybe a 4.9 or something like that. And when he was on that field, he was flying around. So football speed and straightforward speed are different. Like if you guys sit there and see a person that like if you look how fast people are on the field, it's different. Like people running lateral, people running like diagonal, like running straight forward isn't even football. It's not even something that football players do. And so we shouldn't judge everybody's stock on something that they don't even do.
I got my man Jalen on here, Jalen Williams.
What up?
What's going on,
What's
Jalen? How you
going
doing?
on?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
This was up.
Doing good, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to get Jalen on here because, so like I said, I'm a broadcast journalism major. William, he's a broadcast journalism major, but my playing days are over. But my man Jalen, Arundel High School, he's still going to be playing football, and I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
get his perspective as a current athlete who's still playing, so he can get his questions in, and yeah.
Yeah. So I played with Tyrus for like a year, 2 years ago. So that's how we know each other. But yeah, I see your Instagram page, what you was doing. And I was wondering like what makes your company, your brand like unique from every other trainer, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, as far as like training DBs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because I'm about truth over tradition. I will throw all tradition out because of the fact that people don't question things. So I would never have a DB sit there and go through footwork drills because I don't believe that people can sit there and get better by doing cone stuff. I always believe that people should be going against other people in order to get better. And so what separates me is I put guys in situations that they're actually going to see. So instead of just sitting there having a guy like I was talking about earlier doing W drills and breaking on a coach, I'm going to put a guy in front of you. It's kind of like sparring. So I got this from like way back. I used to do something called jujitsu, right? And jujitsu is something that pretty much every UFC fighter has some sort of art on. And the reason why jujitsu is so successful and the reason why it's in UFC is because none of their training's on air. You always have a partner, right? And so when you get submitted or whatnot, you always learn. You're always sparring with your partner. You're finding new ways to go ahead and do stuff. So why can't we do that same stuff with defensive backs? So anytime I train a defensive back, he's going to always have somebody in front of him. And so that's what I do is I always try to have them have like my drills or my stuff is more like situations. So I'll have a guy in 1v1s. What does he do? What does he do in 2v1s? What does he do in 2v2s? We always have more football-esque stuff rather than just drill.
I feel you. I used to play DB my sophomore year, so I can relate to what you're saying. Yeah, it's good having like a decoy you can work on so you can like image the situation you're in. So I like that.
Yeah, I see like footwork drills is just like you're a boxer and you're just sitting there with a speed bag all day. Just because you have quick hands and just because you can throw, hands against a bag that don't move doesn't mean you can fight somebody. Because when you get in that ring against somebody that's actually moving, if you haven't practiced those things, you get knocked out. Exactly. Same thing with a DB. If you don't know what it feels like to go ahead and go against somebody over and over again, and it's not the staple of your training, then you're going to go ahead and get beat. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm very strong on this. You cannot get better as a DB if you don't have somebody in front of you. You can't. Because when will you not have somebody in front of you?
Exactly. Never.
So then why is the training on some coach that does this? How is that going to make you better at reading a receiver? It won't. I'm a firm believer in that. So, and that's my opinion. But I feel that's what sets me apart is that, I see the whole thing holistic. And also, I know the human body very well. I'm a strength coach, so I know how the weight room translates in order to go ahead and be I'm not just a DB coach. I know the body as well. So I can train my DBs holistically rather than sit there and just, say that, we're just going to go through drills.
I feel that. And I got one more question. I got to head out. So I saw the vert. Got some crazy verse on there. How's that? How's the training?
You're talking about as far as like jump ball stuff?
Yeah, I've been seeing all that stuff.
So one thing that we did was with Spooner Physical Therapy. We measured how high a person can go ahead and jump. You guys know the vault plates, force plates. So what they do is they jump on them and it measures basically how much force you put in. So what we did was we took a guy and we had him jump as high as he could with just on air. And then the next rep, we put jump ball ahead of him at like a height of like 10.5. And he jumped higher. So the magic is in the fact that when you have something to go for, you're automatically going to jump higher. Rather than just even like this, if you're sprinting, is it better to sprint on air or have somebody chasing you? What do you think you're going to run faster with?
Have someone chasing you.
Have somebody chasing you because it's urgency, right? And so anytime you have something to go ahead and like provoke you to do something faster or better, you want to train in that. So when he jumped on air, it was 76 watts per kilogram. And then when he jumped with jump ball, it was 86. So it was almost 10. I think it was 85 or 86. So he almost had a 10, like a 10 increase, a 10 watts per kilogram increase just based off of intent.
So
that's how I get guys to jump higher is because I set the bar higher. You're only going to be able to jump as what your body is able to go ahead and handle. So I set it higher.
Cool.
Love it.
That's all I got. I'm going to have that out, but I thank you for your time. And
hey, appreciate you joining, bro.
All right. I'll see y'all.
See you, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Glad he was able to join in and ask some questions. Before we close up, I wanted to ask, what are some top players that we should be looking out for? What are some, like, I know some of the players you train, but like, what are some guys that are training right now that are like getting ready for the combine? What are some, and just overall, like, what are some main guys we should be looking out for in college football, NFL that you train? You can shout them out.
Well, Benjamin Morrison is one of my main guys. The corner for Notre Dame, he just came out. I think that he's going to have a great career because of the fact that his ball skills are phenomenal. As you can see, he was able to go ahead and play like the top receivers like Marvin Harrison. He was able to go out there and get picks, multiple picks, as a young kid. As a freshman and a sophomore. So I think he's going to have a lot of success because of the fact that he has NFL ball skills already. He's like my
Got
main
him.
guy. I think
Yes.
that Denzel Burke. He was a young dude that I coached back in high school. He was at Brophy. I was at Brophy High School, and I was his DB coach. And I feel like he's just always had the athleticism, the smartness, and I've always been rooting for him. I haven't worked with him in a long, long time. His trainer was the guy that did Darrell Revis, Will. But I just, I think that he's going to go ahead and have a good career because he's just smart and he likes to go ahead and come down and hit.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
He
Oh yeah.
is.
I think Lathan Ransom is another guy. He's coming out and he's came out and got some work with me. I feel like he can hit, and he's going to go ahead and be able to be a run stopping force. And I think that his ball knowledge is very up there, and so I think that he's going to be able to make a good impact in the league. So those three guys are my guys that I really want to see have big success.
You said Lathan Ransom?
Yeah,
Ransom.
Ohio State.
Ohio
He's a
State, got
good player. I have seen him before. Like he's definitely like a hard hitting safety that has like big time potential in the NFL because his intangibles like on the field, it's like what a lot of teams need. Like
Right.
I'm a Commander fan.
Hey,
We
we
need someone like that. Like we need a length of ransom, like running around, hitting people and stuff on the field. He could definitely be like a run stopper, you know, because he played with like good players, but he was like the actual real like tone setter with his hitting on Ohio
Mm-hmm.
State defense. So yeah.
Mr. Hill, like William said, I'm a Commanders fan as well. We in the DMV area, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Commanders fan as well. And shoot, I would love to have you on the coaching staff because our DBs was not it last season, dog.
They
You
Woo.
guys
was
got one of
not.
my guys, Kevon Seymour.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard.
I know who that is.
Was he
Yeah,
on the
I
Ravens
heard
at
of
one
him.
point too?
Yeah, he's with the Ravens. Correct.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Um,
But yeah. I mean, like, I don't really have a desire to coach. I just like the training. Like I said, I don't love football. I love the people who play football.
love it.
Mhm.
That's
Shoot,
good. That's good.
Yeah, because the game of football is always going to be itself. When I'm long and gone, I mean, football's still going to be football, you know. And whether I'm in it or not, it's like it's going to continue to be itself. But I feel like I can make an impact on the people that play it and let them know that they're more than just football players anyway. I feel like a lot of football players, they lose their identity because they become entrenched in it and they don't even know who they are. First of all, spiritually, physically, mentally, that's why they get lost. And I feel like that's why I'm in the industry is because I want people to understand. It's like, yeah, football's great. Get your money, get in, get out, but you're more than a football player. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
People take on that identity. And that's all they feel like they are, and they have a hard time integrating back into society.
I
Yeah, I
saw a
do get
video
that.
like that. On my fault, bro. I'm gonna make this quick. I saw a video like that recently by shout out one of my favorite YouTubers, Flimlo Raps. He was referring to Andrew Luck and how you saw what happened with him, the injuries, and they caused him to retire. And like he was talking about how he kind of went through an identity crisis on when he had to leave the game of football because football ends for everybody. So I really do appreciate the way that you're saying how it's more of building that personal side than it is like it's always about the people you interact with and building that relationship. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Guys just lose their identity, when they do that. And the more you get into the NFL, like I'm on the side of the less glamorous side because I hear all the stuff that happens. I hear how they, that they don't necessarily care about people like they think that like people think that they do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's a cut. Which I mean, if they sat there and cared about everybody, they wouldn't make any money. But like they just not who everybody thinks it is, and everybody doesn't. It's the NFL isn't as glamorous as people think. If you're not a A-lister guy, if you're a guy that's trying to get in, it's very tough, very difficult. You know what I'm saying? So I always want guys to think that don't give everything, your heart and soul, to a game that can be taken away from you at any time. You know what I'm saying? Don't put your identity in something that changes. So it's just not as glamorous as people think.
That's my coaches always. Hey, that's what my coaches always told me and my guys. Like there's life after football. So football was more of something that, like growing up, playing football, loving the game, just enjoying this sport. It was more so something that my coaches would tell us that we're using football to make better young men. So I think from just having this conversation with you, I feel like that's what you're trying to do. Um, More of like making better individuals, building relationships, and that's something I can always have respect for and appreciate. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, Will. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, carry on what Tyra said. Like, you know, your main goal is to basically like connect with these athletes and to like get to know them on a personal level outside of football. Like, working on the X's and O's is good and stuff, but basically getting to know their backgrounds and behind the scenes, like basically try to know they're mentally, and physically ready for the NFL is definitely like, the key aspect of what you do as, working with these players to actually
Mhm.
like have that bond with them. Not just like, being their coach and running around with them, but to actually like get to know them and like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I'm not in the industry to be famous. I'm not famous. Nobody know
Yeah.
about me. Like for real. Like I'm not in it for that. I'm not in it to have 1,000, 100,000 Instagram followers. I'm not in it to go ahead and be the best DB trainer in the world. I am in this to go ahead and make impact in the people that go ahead and invest in me. That's what it is. And so anybody that comes to me, they're gonna go get all of me. I don't care whether you're a third stringer in high school or you are a first stringer in the NFL. You're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna treat you the same. If you go ahead and give me everything that you got and you come out here and you work, I'm gonna pour my all into you, and that's what it's all about. I want to go ahead and I want to see. I want to get to know kids on a deeper level. And that's what coaching is. It's like you want to go ahead and affect kids' lives. You want to make sure that you give them as much as you can, as many tools as you can, rather than just, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple pictures with you, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put it on Instagram and do all this, and then I don't even know you like that. That stuff ain't that's not for me. I mean, people out there and they do it, no knock to them. Everybody, you got to hustle and eat how you can eat. You know what I'm saying? But that's just not what I'm here for, and that's not what the Almighty. I feel like if I start doing that, the Almighty take everything away from me. The very moment I make it about me and not him, it's just gone. Because he can take as quick as he give. We all know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
that's key, man. Relationships and everything. And if you guys don't take anything away from this, take this. Relationships are the new currency. You never know who knows who. The only reason why I'm in this position right now to be able to train guys is because the guy LaCharles Bentley, he brought me out to work with something called the NFL IPP, and that's the International Player Pathway. So everybody who comes in from different like countries, like we train them, and they come in. So I got a guy from Germany. He plays for the Colts. I had a guy from uh, uh, England. He played for the Jaguars. Another guy, he's in Canada. But he just saw the way that I carried myself, and he saw how passionate I was about it because I'm always passionate when I go ahead and talk to dudes. And he saw that, and he's like, man, when the time was right, he brought me on board, and it's a blessing to be able to like AMDG's. It's like the Lamborghini dealerships are like football training. For real, I'll show you guys the gym real quick, man. It's a blessing, man. You guys get an in-depth look. But like you see, like even in the hallways, like this man has his patents on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Because he's
I
creating stuff.
see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
patents on the wall. He has another patent for another like thing that he had. Like you sit there and you watch this stuff, you get inspired, right?
Yeah, it's inspirational.
You get inspired, and so this is the gym.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa. That's
Wow,
that's
that's
the
that's
national
official.
ID.
That's
Yeah.
official right there.
Wow.
So this is jump
You
ball
know,
right here. This is my baby. But yeah, so we have all this, and then we have our gym side, and you just see all this it's like the Hall of Fame in here. You know what I mean? It just speaks out football. You have the quotes, you have all that stuff. We have everything that we need in here. And it even has like a little back area we can go ahead and do sprints at. It's just everything that we need is in this gym, man. And it's a blessing to be able to go ahead and do all this stuff.
Come there every day. I know it has to like just inspire you to want to keep doing what you're doing for people and to
Yeah.
like basically just better people.
Yeah. You see those sleds back there, those red sleds? He created those specifically for them.
Wow.
Yeah, he created those things. And there's a bunch of other things that he created that are in the shed. But yeah, it's just like when you come in here and you see this, it's like I know I'm blessed. And I know I'm here for a reason. I know I'm here to go ahead and help. Like I know I'm in here to, to help other people, get closer to the Most High and continue to serve Him and be great in everything that they do. Like that's my main mission. Like football, I don't. To be honest with you guys, I don't even watch football like that because football ain't my life. Like I always say, I'll never let it define me. Like I'll watch the dudes that I train, but I'm not gonna be invested because it's my life already in here. But I'm not gonna sit there and be like, hey, I'm while my wife wants my attention, I'm not gonna sit there and watch a football game. I'm
Right.
gonna come home, I'm gonna spend time with my wife. I'm gonna be a husband of the Most High. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try to emulate how He wants biblical marriage and go home and give my wife all of me. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just sitting there. And no knock to people that love sports like that. Everybody has their calling because there's people in that industry that has a calling. But my calling isn't to sit there and be overcome by sports. That's not mine. But to help people that's in there. So like I said, I love the people more than I love the actual sport.
Even you saying that, it makes you realize that, you know, you having that mindset of Most High first is already going to expand whatever you put yourself into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he can take it just as fast, bro. Bro, like I owned a gym, right? And me and the other owners fell out. Uh no knock against whatever they do. We just had to part ways. And it was to a point where I was kind of just, searching to find a gym. And that's when LaCharles, he called me. He's like, man, let's do some more work together. And when I'm like, man, I don't got a gym. He's like, oh man, like, I love the way you carry yourself. I love this. We know my gym is your gym. And he just invited me in, and he just the biggest thing he said that you got to go ahead and think of yourself more than a trainer. You have to think of yourself more than a trainer. You're a coach. You're an inventor. You are a businessman. You are a counselor. You're a spiritual advisor. You got to think of like you're more than that. And
Mental.
ever since then, I'm just like, man, it's just I'm not I'm thinking of myself more than a trainer, man, because it's just like that stuff don't define me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of people, a lot of trainers that defines them, and that's okay. That's their journey. I mean, no, not to it, but that ain't for me.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Will, you got some?
Yeah. So I have a question for you. For
Yeah.
anybody, for any like high school students that's trying to come up and like go to the NFL, do you have any like advice for them going through that process?
You want to go to the NFL. Are you willing to go through all the stuff that it takes to get there? Because I've been through every part of the journey. Are you willing to go ahead and go through all the stuff that it takes to get there? And I want them to understand that not everybody get paid the millions like they think they do. It's maybe 4 or 5 guys that have those huge contracts. Everybody else making league minimum. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. And then the average lifespan in the NFL is what, 2 to 3 years? 2 years?
Yeah.
The average.
Oh,
Average. So
average.
do you want to go ahead and be a journeyman? If you don't get drafted, now you're going to be in a position of like, okay, I got to go from this team to this team. I got to go to this workout to this workout. If you're not mentally strong, that stuff will eat you up real quick. So I would say the biggest advice I had to them: get rooted in your faith amongst all things. Because if the Most High wants you in the league, you're gonna be in the league. If He don't want you in the league, ain't nothing you can do to get in. Don't try to go ahead and shape your own destiny for something that you ain't supposed to be in. And then if you're not a mentally strong person, the demons and the stuff that come along with fame and all that stuff is gonna come along. That stuff gonna eat you up too. People get out the league because they lose their focus. So it's like if you're ready for that, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy at all. But I mean, if you want generational wealth, if that's what you're looking for, you ain't got to go to the NFL to get that. You know what I'm saying? If you love football, be great at it. Continue to train, be as good as you can. If you don't go to the NFL, it ain't the end of the world. There's a lot of other ways to make millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And most kids want to go to the league because of the money. Let's be real. Like, no kid want to go there just because they either want the fame or they want the money. Just same reason why people want to be rappers. So if your heart really, and you really want to go to the league, it's because you want to be the best at football and you want to be good at that. Work your tail off, get there. Build relationships. Meet people. Go out there and talk to different people. You know what I'm saying? Because NFL is all about relationships too. You ain't getting in if nobody know you. I don't care who you are. Yeah, if nobody knows you, you're not getting in the league. You could be terrible. If people know you, you get a chance. Life's
Yeah,
not
and I do get what you're saying because,
Power of
like,
connections.
life is not about who you know. It's about who knows you. That's all it
that's
is.
good. That's
You
good
can.
quote.
I know a lot of people. That don't mean that they gonna vouch for me. But it's about
Yeah,
who knows you. Who comes to mind? Do you come to mind when they're talking to other people in a good way? That's what it's all about,
yeah,
man. So just relationships, man. That's what I would say.
yeah. Because for me, you don't have to like, because you made a good point saying like, if this not what this not your calling, you don't have to, force yourself to be the best. I mean, well, you don't have to go to the NFL to make millions of dollars. You could do what you're doing right now, like training people, trying to help them get to the NFL, and you could be, wealthy in your own business and stuff. So you don't have to like go to the NFL if it's not your calling.
Exactly. And some people try to force it, and then what happens when people try to go to the NFL and they don't make it? They have an identity crisis. How do I know? Because I did. I had an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I was just like, I was so entrenched in going to the league. When I didn't make it, like I kind of lost myself in the way. You know what I'm saying? And all praise to the Most High for bringing me back. But it's just like I hate seeing people do that. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people that I've seen, they get on a team, they take all these pictures, and they put it on Instagram, and it looked good. But then again, they're not playing, or they get cut and they're a free agent, and the people don't even know the background stuff that's going on. So just because you have a picture on social media of you catching a ball or you doing something on the NFL doesn't mean you're getting paid like that. And it doesn't even mean that you have a job. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as glorious as it looks. I be trying to tell people, man. I talk to guys all the time. If you're not an A-lister, it ain't glorious like that. You got to work your tail off. And sometimes you got to walk on eggshells. So I would say,
Yeah.
man, if you feel it in your heart, you really want it, go for it. But if you in it just to make money and you in it just to go ahead and be famous, hey man, it's gonna eat you up real quick.
Yes, because I do get what you're saying. Like, it's not going to be easy. Like, the journey is not going to be easy if aren't mentally prepared to actually go through the battles and and all the challenges that it is to actually get to the NFL. Then it's not for you because all those people they do the works, and it's the behind the scene works that actually get you far to where you're going. It's not what they do like on camera. You see all the glorious stuff like them, going number one, number two, but it's like what did they do to get there? It's what they, the 4 o'clock, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, workouts that actually like help them get to their dream that they actually,
Yeah,
so
and you think about it like this. I've had plenty of times where guys have been starting and then they get a whole new coaching staff. And guess what coaching staffs bring? They bring their guys. Doesn't matter who you are, unless you're an A-lister, they're gonna bring their guys.
Facts.
So you get a new head coach and they get a whole new coaching staff and your position coach don't know you. That's another thing you got to deal with. And guess what? It's something you got to deal with every single year too. People getting drafted, free agents. You got to think about that too. There's a lot of people that go from team to team, and there's teams always trying to draft somebody or always trying to sign somebody to take your place. Ain't nobody's spot is secure in the league unless you Mahomes. Your spot ain't secure. Everybody replaceable. So
That's
just
right.
understand
yes.
that you are replaceable. That's another thing that you got to overcome. So
Yes, because it's
looking back,
very
I
easily.
would play baseball. To be honest,
You
I
said
would
what?
said looking back, I would have just played baseball.
Oh, for real?
I have injuries I haven't recovered from a sport that hasn't even given me any money.
Wow. Yeah,
My
like,
shoulder, I got broken fingers, I got all kinds of stuff that I'm still suffering from, and I ain't getting no money from it.
My guy James is in here. He's a fellow broadcast journalism student at Bowie State University. And James, how you feeling tonight, man?
Feeling good, man. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
We got Mr. Hale in here tonight, and we've been chopping it up almost an hour plus. Well, 55 minutes. We're almost at an hour. Just having a good live stream tonight, discussing some things about the advancement of athletic training. And it's been a great discussion. But James, I'm gonna pass it to you, man. How you feeling?
Well, my name is James Edwards. I'm a sports journalist. I go to Bowie State University. I've seen a lot of your stuff on Instagram, seeing you're a trainer. My question for you is, what would you say is the biggest thing, the difference between athletic training and coaching? Because they're both like developing athletes. What would you say like the difference between the two is?
Depends on what you want to be. It does. If you want to go ahead and coach people and do athletic training, so coaching, I say it's like this. The difference is like this. Training's a career, coaching's a calling. Not everybody's called to be a coach. Training's a career. Anybody can be a trainer. Not everybody can be a coach. So I would say you have to have personal relationships with people. You got to be able to go ahead and get people to do, you got to be able to get people to do what you want them to do without being them. You know what I'm saying? So, if I want an athlete to get better at something, I want to coach him through it, but I want him to I want to coach him through it in a way that he can learn. You got to be able to teach. I feel like coaches are teachers. Coaches are mentors. Coaches are psychiatrists. Coaches are preachers. Coaches are a lot more than what people give them. Trainers, you can go to friggin' EOS and find a trainer.
Right.
Anybody can be a trainer. Anybody can be in the slot and do that. So to be a coach who is a trainer is a different thing than just people who are just trainers.
Do you think it is possible to be a successful athlete without a trainer?
Yeah. You got to know your body.
Do you think that makes it harder on the athlete?
Yeah, I feel like you can. There's been a lot of people that have been successful athletes without trainers. I feel like, can you be at your best without a trainer? It'd be very difficult because you always want to see somebody. You always want to see it. You always have a preconceived notion as an athlete. And I feel like somebody else seeing it from a different lens allows you to go ahead and be like, oh, I never saw it like that.
Right.
Having a second pair of eyes always helps.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I feel like an athlete can go ahead and be great, but in order to go ahead and get to that next level and expand their game, I feel like having a trainer definitely helps.
That's good stuff. Because a lot of times you see athletes, especially when you get to professional level, I'm sure you probably know, they're trying to make it seem like it's kind of hard to really train them guys because they're like the highest level. But it seems like that's like the level where you need the most training because everybody can ball. You know what I mean? It isn't like high school or college where, you're better than most of the guys you play or meetings on like your conference. Like you see like an Ashton Genty guy, he's better than most of the guys in his conference. Now he's in the league, everybody can go. You know what I mean? Like there's probably the running back or wherever he's drafted, it might be just as good as him. Whereas college is like he's probably better than the 4 or 5 running backs they got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say there's 3 things that you want to make sure that all veterans or all rookies have. They got to stay healthy. Number 1, if you can't stay healthy, no matter how good you are, you're going to be out the league really soon. Okay. There's been a lot of guys who are really good, but when they can't stay healthy, it's like a mark on you. Like every injury you get, you just value goes down and down and down. So staying healthy, right? Paying attention to detail. So being able to expose them to things that they necessarily haven't seen before is also key. So being able to go ahead and expose them to more, not even necessarily advanced stuff, but more things. So like with linebackers, I'll have them, instead of just doing like go, drop and all stuff, I'll have them go against 2 people and run different combinations so that way they could see it, they could feel it. One thing that I always want all my athletes to do is I don't like having to sit there and be like, an athlete come up to me and ask me, what did I do wrong? If an athlete is asking me what they did wrong, I'm not a good coach. Here's why. Your environment should have athletes so aware of their body that they know what's going on, that they've seen it before, they feel it. So that way, like when I ask athletes, like, hey, what'd you feel? It's like, oh man, I did this, I did this, I did this. They should tell you what they did because they should feel it. If they're asking you what they did wrong, that means they don't have a clue. They don't have spatial awareness. They don't have a kinesthetic awareness of how their body is. And so I want all my athletes to be able to go ahead and be aware of themselves. That way, when I ask, hey, what'd you feel in that rep? Oh man, I know I did this. I know I did this. Or it'd be like any of those things. I'll look at them, they'll look at me and be like, yeah, I know what I did wrong. That's how I can go ahead and basically help them because of the fact that they're aware of their body. And then when they get on the field, they don't need to sit there and ask the coach what they did wrong. You sit there and ask the coach what you did wrong, you ain't gonna have a career for long.
Right. And I see you got the the field is behind you. I wanted to ask you, like, because the combine is here. How important would you say the 40 is when it comes to get drafted? Because a lot of guys,
We
they get either come up or they come down just off that one split second of a time.
Oh man, we
we
went
was
thoroughly.
I was gonna
But
say, yeah, we was discussing that earlier, James. I'm gonna pass Mr. Hale.
yeah, I would say for the combine and for the sake of testing, it's important. But as far as seeing how good of a football player you are, the 40 has zero value. Here's why. Corners never run straight in a straight line, ever. If they run straight, that means they're beat. Running backs don't run in a straight line. They run curvilinear. And guess what? Do running backs use both hands when they're running? No, they don't. They have a ball. They have a ball. So how well does this athlete run with no arm? He doesn't have access to his other arm. Receivers, you have a guy in front of you. You have to go ahead and run like this. And then when you catch the ball or looking for the ball, you have to turn. So every single position on the field requires some sort of not running straight. Nobody runs straight for 40 yards, especially think about kickoff. You're going around somebody. Punt return, you're going around somebody. So running in a straight line is for track athletes, it's not for football players.
So would you say the 40 is kind of like a joke in a sense? Like it really doesn't mean anything. It's just for TV?
It just shows that you can check a box. He can run in a straight line. His capacity to run is this. That's what value it has. So meaning like he can go ahead and run from this point to this point in this time, check the box.
So as a trainer, do you express that in points to your guys? Like, hey, you got to have a real good time to wait for your back. Like if you run a 4.3, that can make you the difference between you in the second round and a first round draft pick just off
Oh, I
that
know they
split
can.
second of a time.
Absolutely. If we go and doing combine training, shoot, 40 is the most important thing. And it depends on what position you are. But like most skill position, all skill position, your 40 means everything. Coaches care about speed. Your 5.10.5, I ain't never seen nobody have a bad 40 time and get drafted based off their 5.10.5. Your vertical, that definitely is important. They don't want you jumping no 28, 29, trying to go ahead and jump with people. So I would say your 40 is everything for if you want to get drafted. I've seen some guys that don't belong in the
Yes.
league fast times and get picked up.
Yeah. Yeah. You see that in the skill positions a lot, the receiving stuff like that. They aren't really good receivers, but they're, you know what I mean? That 40 looks real good.
Yeah, exactly. So just because you run in a straight line fast, does that mean you can play football?
So, and a lot of
Yeah.
them guys get hurt in the process of that playing in the league because they don't have much body weight. Like, you know what I mean? The 40 is almost like a track athlete. You're real slim and skinny. That's how you move faster.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I had a guy named JJ Nelson, close friend of mine, played for the Cardinals, one of the fastest dudes in the league, ran, I believe he ran a 4.28, 4.25. He was like 158, but this dude, like, was one of the smartest receivers I've ever been around. Like, he's just a genius. Like, his ability to go ahead and, like, he never even got to use his full speed because guys would try to press him, guys would try to bail out. So he would have to be a master at running short routes. He would have to go ahead or be good at, like, getting open without just using his speed. Because that's what guys ain't going to let you do in the league. They're not going to let you just run in a straight line and just beat them. That's not going to happen. They just go bail out. You got to be able to set stuff up and be crafty. And so JJ, the reason why he was in the league for a long time was because of the fact that he can move, he could bend, he's smart. So if you can run a 40, but you can't apply that stuff, other things, you ain't going to be in the league a long time.
Yes. And for me, I say it could be like the counter argument for that. Like sometimes the sky combine, it could actually help a player. Like if someone probably like hasn't been in the spotlight as much as in like in college or something, the scouting combine it could help them like and grow their brand and just like have GMs look at them. That's the probably the other big name players and stuff. 'Cause I definitely seen a bunch of players like go from being like I'm gonna say fifth round draft picks to after their draft combine being like second, late first round,
Mm-hmm.
grade prospects. So it could definitely like help players like and grow their brand and stuff. Do it, all the time translates out to the league? Definitely not. But it could help. But they like didn't just check the box, but they like absolutely explode the box that general managers are looking for, like by a mile. It could definitely help
Yeah, and I
prospects
would
out.
agree with you. That's why, you know, if you are going to do the combine and you are going to run it, you got to run it good, because that can definitely help you or hurt you. It definitely
Mhm.
could. Now, after the combine, is the 40 going to be useful?
No.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I think also a lot of people don't prepare for some of them questions they get. Like, do you prepare your athletes like for that press conference and things like that? Because a lot of people look at character. Like, look like a Jalen Carter, right? We thought he was going to be a top 3 pick, and boom, just off a few things that he said, he dropped to what? What was he, like the 12th, 11th pick for the Eagles? Like that,
I think there
him
was
like,
some legal stuff with that too.
yeah, that too. But I'm saying your character is also some when it comes to like that like area being an athlete. It isn't all just about athletics.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, that's the majority of the combine is you're meeting with all 32 teams. Like that's a lot of meetings that you have as a player. You're going to be meeting with all those guys who want to meet with you. You know what I'm saying? And so they're going to ask you about family. They're going to ask you about friends. They're going to ask you about all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you can't go ahead and hold a conversation, you lose draft stock too. And that's something that they do work here. One thing I try to do is in my training is I try to have interviews with guys after like training. So I'll have a guy, you know, at the end, I'll be like, hey, so-and-so gets the game ball. And everybody will clap up. It'll be like in the locker room after we get done training. And I'll be like, all right. So, and I'll act like I'm interviewing them and I'll ask them questions and all that stuff. Just so that way they get used to talking. I feel like that's something in the training industry people aren't used to doing. It's just like these athletes are going to have to be in front of a camera. Who's going to prepare them from that? They don't have no public speaking classes that are going to help people with like cameras in their face. They don't have that.
Yeah, public relations is very important, especially when businesses ever trying to market you, right? If you're an athlete and you can't talk, you know, Jordan or Nike isn't going to come get you. But if we see that you have speech along with the athletics, we can make a whole bunch of money off you, and you're going to make a whole bunch of money with it.
Say that.
Absolutely. It's really key. So no, I'm right there with you. It's something that has to be worked on for sure.
Okay, now speaking of draft, I don't know if you guys said this yet, but these, quarterbacks, have you been, looking at these guys, the Cam Ward, Shador, Jackson Dart? I think this is a really good quarterback draft. What do you think, like, about that topic?
I have stayed away from the quarterbacks because I haven't really put my mind in that. I've been focusing on the old linemen that I've been training and all that stuff, and I've been focusing on the defensive backs more than anything because there's a lot of different things you can see, and I'm not overall. Like I told these guys, I don't love football. I love the players. So if they're not directly working with me in some capacity, I don't really pay attention to the other stuff, and that's just with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't done so. I haven't really followed a whole lot of quarterbacks. I know them. I do play NCAA or college football, so I know them based off of that. I know enough. You know what I'm saying? I like Cam Ward, Shador. I don't know how he'll pan out. He might pan out good. He might not pan out good. We'll see. I'm excited. He has his father's blood in him, so I'm hoping that he does well. I hope anybody that goes to the league does well. So if Shador goes out there, and I feel like he skipped the he skipped the combine, right?
He did, but he's doing the questions and
Yes,
stuff. He's just not performing.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like he's doing the questions and stuff that's important. He already knows that he has his pro day. And why did he skip it? Because they're finding reasons to not draft you.
Mm.
You opening up my perspective because you see, I would say before this live, I would have said, and me and James have had these conversations. I would have my opinion on that would have been a little bit different. I would have said like, I don't know. I think Shador shouldn't have skipped. A part of that is I felt that way because of like kind of the persona that he is and how he's already viewed. It kind of feeds more into that with
Right.
skipping it. But I think your perspective on that kind of opens my perspective.
Right.
See what you're saying?
Yeah. Why do you think they have these guys staying up late till night, waking up early in the morning, doing all this stuff? They're putting them through hell. Like these guys got to go through hell because they're going ahead and seeing like, I'm gonna put you through all this stuff because I want to see where you mess up at. I want to see. You know what I'm saying?
And it kind of like makes it worse, the narrative of the black quarterback. They kind of like make it where it's like, even though Shador has done so much, Cam Ward is so much great, they're like pulling like the things that they did bad. And that's what you hear about in the media more than, things that they've done so good.
Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to find reasons and all this stuff. And so, like, he's already running his pro day. He's already doing that. And at the end of the day, if he had a good enough season, he's going to get drafted. Like the combine, like, say he ran out there and didn't run the good time and all that stuff, that would have shattered him. You know what I'm saying? And why risk that? Why risk that when you can have a couple extra weeks to prepare for your pro day and go out there and kill it?
What are What are some of the guys that you are like, I guess, getting ready for like their pro day? You know, do you mind saying any like, names of guys we should be watching out for the upcoming draft?
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he mentioned that before too. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I say Lathan Ransom, Benjamin Morrison, and Denzel Burke.
Oh, Denzel Burke. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Denzel Burke. I want that guy in Washington. I want him. I want him,
Me
man.
too.
Because
I'm sure a lot of teams do.
He can
I
hit.
was telling, I
Smart guy too.
was. You said what?
He can hit, and he's a smart guy too.
Yes, he is. He
Yeah,
like
man. So I definitely those guys have
What
it. But
what would you
everybody that does that, go ahead.
what would you say the most position that you get like training? Like what is like your heaviest position training like football wise? Like the heaviest position that comes to you for training?
Corners, safeties, and linebackers.
Okay. Is there any reason to that, or that's just like just because?
Well, I feel like the way I train is different, and it gets people ready.
Mhm.
Like anybody can go get DB work anywhere, and anybody. There's a lot of DB coaches out there. And there's some great ones. There's some ones that are just average, and I feel like anybody can find DB work anywhere. Like I said, what sets me apart is I'm gonna put you against people. I'm gonna make you fail. The only way to get better is by failing. If you do rehearsed drills, it's hard to fail in rehearsed drills, right? It is. But when you have a receiver or somebody actually going against you, like that's when you fail, and that's when I'd rather guys get privately embarrassed in my sessions than publicly exposed out there. So I
Yeah.
throw everything I can at them. You know, we work on trail, we work on over the top, we work 2v1 situations. I'll have you going against guys like um, there's days where I'll say like, hey, today, fellas, rent is due. If you don't get 10 interceptions in this session, then you got 50 push-ups. Just putting them in that pressure, like, oh, I have to get interception, because the only way these guys are going to go to the NFL or go to college is if they get takeaways. Nobody goes to the league on pass breakups.
Right. We
You
want
don't
that
go to
ball.
Division I on pass breakups. You go off your ability to get the ball back to the offense.
Do you think that training better players makes you better as a trainer?
No, I don't think that training good players makes you a good trainer. I believe training terrible athletes and making them good makes you a good trainer. Because anybody can go, okay, say this. Say Sauce Gardner came to me and I trained him. Am I going to make him that much better of a corner? He's already a great corner. He's already a great press corner. There's some things I could show him, but he's already going to go ahead and do what he does, whether he's with me or not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That doesn't make me a good trainer. It's taking a guy that's not good at all and actually making an impact and seeing exactly what he does, like you guys work on the field. That's what makes you a good trainer. Like when you start training terrible people, that forces you to try new things. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody can sit there and train. Like literally, you guys, if Jalen Ramsey came to you guys and you guys just show him one or two things, or you just take him through some DB drills, he gonna still go out there and still do what he does.
Right.
That doesn't make you guys good trainers.
right.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people do when they chase clout. Like, oh yeah, I got this person. But did you make him into the athlete he was before he became that athlete?
Yeah, it's kind of like you see trainers, it's kind of like for the internet. Like you see a lot of trainers train these famous guys to get their clout up, and now all these guys want to come and pay for them, and now they're making money off of it. But it
Yeah,
doesn't really make them a good trainer. That's why I kind of asked you that question. You
yeah,
see that a lot with training. It makes training like look fugazi when this is real.
exactly. And
yeah.
like that's the thing that I feel like makes me a trainer that I am, is because I'm not a guy that looks for A-lister guys. I'm not the guy that looks for the guys who make 400 million. I'm the guy that gets the free agents that are trying to go ahead and extend their career. You know what I'm saying? Like I have Nicholas Morrow. He went to Greenville University, which is Division III. He ended up he was undersized, and we started training together, and he was starting on the Raiders. And then John Gruden changed teams, and then he went over to the Bears, started for the Bears. Then he went over to Bills. Then he went over to Philly, won a Super Bowl. This is a guy that's bounced from different teams, and he came to me as a person who just basically didn't know anything about coverage like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, did I make him? No, because he helped me become a better trainer because he taught me linebacker stuff. But I could say that what we've done has attributed to him staying in the league long. This is his 8th year coming from a Division III. That's not supposed
What
to
do you
happen.
It's
what do you
crazy.
think the difference? You've probably seen like Division I, Division II, Division III, all of it. What do you think the difference between those athletes that makes you Division I, Division II? Like, what's the difference between those athletes?
Your grades and linemen. So your grades. There's some receivers that are Division III that'll kill Division I corners. Like, let's not get it twisted. There's some great guys on every single level. They just got overlooked, probably size. They probably didn't have the grades, and they probably just didn't go to a big school. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you go to a Division I school doesn't mean that you're gonna go to the league either. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. It's just like they just probably got overlooked. But there's some dogs at Division III.
Do you kind of talk to some guys and recommend, like, because there's some guys that have FCS offers and they have like high Division II bags. Do you talk to guys and say, hey, if you go to this D2, you can elevate and get better, where if you go to this D1 school, your play might mean not as much because you're just not ready yet. Do you ever have them talk to some guys?
Division I is an ego thing. Let's keep it real. You only go into if you have a Division II that's gonna want you and want you to play and give you everything, and you have a Division I AA that offers you but doesn't want to be like that, doesn't need you. That's an ego thing. You're only going there to feed your ego of like, oh, I went Division I. You need to go where people want you, not. You want to go to where people need you, not want you, right? Like they have to say like, oh, I need this athlete. Like we can't function as a team without him. So I would say that if you're gonna go there and you got to wait till your senior year to start, bro, no, you got to go to where you're needed and not wanted. So that's an ego thing. Everybody's like, oh, they glorify Division I and all that stuff. Like that's the only barometer to get you in the league.
Right.
Plenty of guys going from Division II to the league. I train a lot of them. Like I got Ashton. I got Ashton Dulin. He plays for the Colts right now. Division II or Division III. Dallas Flowers. I think he was Division II. Like, and he plays for Tampa Bay. Like these guys didn't go to big schools, but they're in the league.
Like you hear a lot of, I'm sure you heard this phrase, division between like Alabama and Division II school is really just the trenches, the O-line and D-line. I feel like that's what makes a football team.
Heard that
well, Alabama a different beast. They get 5-star guys and they get all that stuff. But we'll say the difference between Toledo and Tuskegee is the lineman.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say because Alabama's a different beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a better comparison. Yeah.
Like Toledo or like Miami, Ohio, and like Alabama State lineman.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up here, Mr. Hale. I just want to thank you for joining tonight. Great discussion. What are some final words that you want to leave the viewers?
Relationships are the new currency. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you.
Love that. William James, last thoughts?
Yeah.
For me, I'll let you go.
All right. How about say, keep doing what you're doing, inspiring the youth and, just helping high school football players to get to the league and like actually go to good colleges and stuff. Keep doing what you're doing, and helping people.
Will do. Appreciate that.
For me, I would just say the like inspiration part, just talking to you for a few minutes, I can tell that you're really inspired and you like what you do. And, I'm sure most of your athletes, are of the minority. And, a lot of us need, help in the fields of just like mental and just like things like that. We need like smart people around us because it isn't all about the physical aspect of the game. So I would say that just, that's something that's very important. Just keep inspiring guys,
Yeah, man, it's the calling, bro. So I got to follow what the Most High says and, continue to go ahead and inspire them spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that. It's all about a greater impact. It's bigger than football, and it's just been great to chop it up with you tonight, Mr. Hill. Want you on again for sure. Definitely want you on again. This was really fun. I appreciate you taking your time out to chop it up with us. But this is the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. Another great live tonight. Probably my favorite one yet. Love it. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page, which will be in the description. But that's all I got for tonight. That's all we got. Have a good one. Peace.
All right, fellas. I got